And they, I mean, at the time it was like, oh, this is kind of like bullshit. They're new metal bullshit or whatever, and they're torn with like, all these weird fucking bands. But look what they did for hardcore. Look what they did for straight edge. Look what they did for veganism. Like, I mean, single handedly, like, just fucking took it to a whole new level, right? But yeah, Freya did the same thing, just in a little more different approach than what
Right.
her Crisis did. So, but yeah, so
Did you
that
stick
was
with
my shit.
Victory when Victory kind of went with like the whole Amberlin and the whole like that kind of route?
That's so honestly. Let's think. It had to have been late '90s when they started kind of going a little bit different direction and started doing some stuff that wasn't quite hardcore, and they started putting out shit like Thumb and Electric Frankenstein, and it was just started losing interest, right?
Right.
And it was just kind of, and I'm sure that was probably the same for some of the kids when Revelation Records did that, for going from the old hardcore into all the
Far
you know
Side,
yeah,
Whirlpool, and yeah,
exactly, all the indie bands. But
Sensefield.
what's amazing about that is at the time I started getting into Revelation and all that shit. It was around the time
Morning Again.
the compilation came out.
In flight
In flight,
program.
thank you, in flight program. That's right. And I remember getting that because it was cheap. It was like $5 or whatever. They sold it at all the record stores. And to me, I was lucky enough that I wasn't around per se at the time that those were coming out in real time. So to me, it was no different. It was like hardcore is hardcore is hardcore, right? And so I still considered all that hardcore because it was on the same label, same people, and it was just as exciting hearing Judge and Youth of Today and Gorilla Biscuits, all that shit, going to Farside, Texas the Reason, Sense Field, all that stuff was also equally monumental to me, you know.
So how do you then start playing? You're going to shows. You're obviously into the music. But what I also think is interesting is that it sounds like the gateway is a band like Helmet, who, or they were one of the gateways, but it's Helmet are, how do I put this? It wasn't like they were like a Revelation band or they were like on New Age or something.
Right.
So
Right. I don't honestly. It was so how I got that CD is funny because one of my older brothers, he still lived at the house, wanted to go out with his friends, and he couldn't because he had to do chores. He had to do like the dishes and stuff. So my brother pawned his chores off to me and said, "Here, I'll give you this Helmet CD." And I was just like, "Great, that thing could have been worth 5 cents or $2 million," and I would have been like, "Yeah, like I got a CD. It's my first one," and then so it was that just kind of I heard that, and then I remember when the sound, that movie The Crow came out, and they were on the soundtrack, and I just remember like, I know this song, this isn't the typical like, whatever bullshit on MTV. Like I know this, and that was really cool. Like making that connection as a little kid that wasn't like the norm, the social norms of what pop culture and music was. And then so yeah, so going from that, just hearing all this other shit, it just, to me, it's all in the same vein of like, you can call it whatever subgenre bullshit. I don't really care, hardcore, alternative, metal, fucking whatever, but it still hit the same as all these other bands just because I made that connection with it.
right. And so then starting to play music, how does that happen? Because you
Okay,
weren't
so
always
playing
a
music.
singer, right?
Oh yeah, so playing music, it was I just okay. So I'm in like the 6th grade, and I remember somehow inheriting the Minor Threat Live on VHS, right? And I would go to sleep every night watching that, and that was like just such a blueprint like thing for me. And I remember just seeing that and going, I want to do that. That seems so fucking cool, and and I didn't quite understand everything, how it worked, or I didn't really take any music lessons, nothing like that, and I just decided that is what I wanted to do. So so I started going to shows in '97. So it'd have been or excuse me, it was late '97, early 1998. And I remember just being like enthralled by it. Just, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. It is.
Who was that first show?
It was Today Is the Day. Bloodlet was supposed to play. I believe they canceled, and then it was Decontaminate, maybe their first or second show. So Dan Gump, his band After Excessive Force, and Climb, another local band. And I already heard Climb before, and Bloodlet I was already into because of the Victory Style one comp that had their song on there. And I remember, one of my second oldest brother, he asked if I wanted to go, and because he knew how much I liked that band, and so it was like, oh my god, this is like, it could have been fucking the Beatles to someone else, right? It was just like, that's what it was for me. And they canceled, and I remember being really fucking bummed, and apparently I did not realize at the time that's what they were known for, was canceling tours and shows due to various reasons of getting in trouble or intoxicated or whatever they did. But still one of my favorite bands to this day. And I will never forget, Decontaminate opened up the show and started playing, and I remember how loud it was, and how, like, I remember the bass just hitting like my chest, like vibrating, my little 13-year-old body going, oh, what the fuck? Like, I didn't realize how loud this was going to be. And people it was just such, like I said, like such a crazy energy. And I knew instantly that this is what I wanted to do. This is where I belong. Right. And knowing so many people already there, because of our house was one of the houses that all, a lot of the kids on the west side of Salt Lake would hang out. So, and then, I remember, it's funny. I remember actually, me and a couple of our friends were sitting in the seats because it was at a place called Tower Theater. And so it's this single theater that was like an independent, theater. And there were still seats and stuff. And so I remember when Today's the Day is playing, we're sitting back in the seats, just because I didn't know Today's the Day at that point, and was just kind of like, it didn't really appeal to me yet, being that young. And so we were sitting there we had fountain drinks of ice and soda, and we were taking the straw and spitting ice chunks at people, and just kind of pretending like, whatever, and fucking being little shitheads, right? Good thing I didn't get my ass kicked then. So, but yeah, so it wasn't honestly until I remember that summer of 1998, that's when I knew that I was totally in love with like straight edge and hardcore. It was actually at the Revelation 1998 tour, and that was Battery, Better Than 1,000, Speak Someone 4, and In My Eyes. And to me, because those sounded closer to like Minor Threat, and you were, going back to like that VHS tape that I just kind of like, just saw every fucking night, seriously, went to bed to and slept, and, just loved. It was closer to that I was just like, I fucking love this. At that time, I was like, this fucking band is great. Speak 714 is awesome. I love it. And it was really cool. And that's what really I fell in love with, was at that show.